Chapter 4, breathing our way to health. Take 3 deep breaths and hold the last one as long as you can until you get a lightheaded, floating sensation.
Margie! Margie, what on earth? Oh, what's the big idea?
Dad, you're in luck. This is only Chapter 4. Chapter 5 is supposed to be dynamite.
Oh, I see you're reading Professor Ambrose's book. It's his first book and already a bestseller.
I'm always interested in your clients.
That's what worries me. Anytime you get interested in my clients, I know I'm in for trouble.
Dad, how can you say that? Don't you remember what I did for you with George Benson, Alice Parker, Carl Watkins, not to mention Henry Johnson?
Henry Johnson? Because of your meddling, I almost lost my job, spent a night in jail, and Mr. Honeywell got sued for $10,000.
Dad, I just said not to mention Henry Johnson.
I'm asking you to stay away from Professor Ambrose. From what I hear, he's a vegetarian and he practices yoga. A man like that can be plenty tough to deal with.
Confidentially, what are your chances of landing him?
Confidentially, it's in the bag.
That's all I wanted to hear. Hello, Roberta. Everything is set. You can tell the girls that Professor Ambrose will address the next meeting of our 4 o'clock book review club. I'll check with you later.
Margie, how can you do a thing like that? You haven't even asked the professor.
I know, Dad, but you will.
I will?
Oh, I knew you would, Dad. Thanks a lot.
Thanks?
You're welcome.
Margie, you're crazy. If you think I'm going to ask the professor to speak before your... What's the name of your club?
The 4 o'clock book review club. Oh, and Dad, tell him the next meeting is Thursday at 2.
Now, wait a minute. You say your 4 o'clock book review club meets at 2?
Naturally.
Well, why doesn't it meet at 4?
Silly. Our 8 o'clock bridge and canasta club meets at 4.
Oh.
Now, Dad, don't forget to tell him. The meeting is Thursday at 2.
Come in.
Professor Ambrose?
I'm over here, Mr. Albright. Excuse me for not getting to my feet, but you come in the midst of my meditation period.
Maybe I better return later. You probably don't want to discuss business now.
On the contrary, Mr. Albright, this is a very good time. In this position, my brain is refreshed, my reflexes are sharpened, and the cobwebs are cleared. Mr. Albright, you look like an honest man. I'd like an honest answer. People here in New York think I'm strange. Do you think I'm strange?
Why, no. Anyone can tell by looking at you that you're pretty level-headed. Now about that stock analysis I've drawn up for you. The fiscal report of the Acon... The fiscal report of the Acon Company shows a net profit of 12% against an operating expense of $600,000. Now, a new debenture increase will increase the fiduciary. Now, let's see, where was I? A new debenture issue will increase the fiduciary. In proportion to the biannual dividend as reported at the last stockholders' meeting.
Excuse me, Mr. Albright, but I never interrupt my yogi exercises.
I understand.
My brain is now refreshed, my reflexes are sharpened, and the cobwebs are cleared. Now I can make a decision about your proposition.
And then you will invest with my company.
I'm afraid not. This is no reflection on you, Mr. Albright. You see, I have no friends in New York, and it's been very lonely for me here.
But your book is a bestseller. You'll have lots of friends.
Not real friends. No, I'm afraid New York is not for me. I've made up my mind to do some traveling. I'm going down to Florida.
Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but will you do me a favor? Will you think it over? Meditate?
Meditate? A fine idea, Mr. Albright. Goodbye, Mr. Albright.
Oh, for Pete's sake, not again. What the?
Boy, that chapter 5 really is dynamite.
Let me see that book.
I hope nothing went wrong, Dad. Over 100 girls are coming to our next club meeting to hear Professor Ambrose.
You better put on some extra pots of coffee because the professor won't be there. He says New York is too lonely and he's decided to go to Florida.
I-E-O-U.
Well, that takes care of the vowels. Now do you want to start on the consonants?
Leaving town. No friends. To Florida. Lonely. Listen, Dad, I've read a lot of things in this book, and I...
Now, Margie, you listen to me. I wouldn't permit you to see him if I thought it was necessary, which I don't, or if I would get a change of mind, which I won't, or if I could afford to take a chance, which I can't, or if I should fall on my face and say yes, which I shan't.
Then your answer is...
Don't, won't, can't, shan't.
Margie, we'll just have to forget about Professor Ambrose and think of somebody else to replace him.
Now, wait a minute, Roberta. He's leaving town because he's lonely. However, if he were to meet a couple of friends from his hometown, he might decide to stay on.
Margie, you mean you and me?
Roberta, we've got to be practical. It's too late to find a new lecturer. Professor Chester Ambrose was born in Elm Grove, Missouri. Attended Elm Grove Grammar School, Elm Grove High School, and Elm Grove Junior College. Professor Ambrose, come in.
You are Amy Perkins of Elm Grove?
That's right.
But the Amy Perkins I remember would have to be around my age.
Well, I'm Amy Perkins, Jr. I'm so glad you were able to come tonight, Professor.
Nothing could have kept me from meeting folks from Elm Grove.
Here's someone else from Elm Grove I know you'll want to meet, Professor. Roberta Townsend.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Here, Professor. Have sauerkraut cocktail.
It's spiked with celery tonic.
Now, this is what I call real Elm Grove hospitality. Bottoms up.
Bottoms up. Professor, I want you to know that I've read your book, and those exercises are stimulating.
Why, thank you.
Oh, we spend all our spare time practicing yoga, don't we, Roberta?
Oh, absolutely.
Then you'll be interested to hear that I've started my second book on yoga. We can try out some of my new techniques together. Come along, girls.
You and your big yoga.
After you.
Oh, no, you go first.
Why me?
Well, in case you fall, I'll be ready to catch you.
Isn't this refreshing, Miss Perkins? I don't know when I've enjoyed myself so much. Amy, you've given me a different slant on life.
This is not exactly the same old slant I've been accustomed to either.
Oh, hi, Roberta. The door was open, so I just came in. Have you seen Margie?
Amy, look who's here.
Amy?
Why, Yogi Yamert.
Huh?
Here, Yogi, have a sauerkraut cocktail.
Who's sick? I don't want anything. I just want to know what's going on here.
Come now, Yogi, drink your cocktail. Bottoms up.
Bottoms up.
Ain't it the truth? Hey, what's going on here?
Professor, I want you to meet Yogi Yamert, who's been teaching us yoga ever since we arrived from Elm Grove, and who probably can't stay very long after he tells you.
Ah, fellow colleague, it'll be a pleasure to exchange yoga greetings.
Hey, what's the idea?
So you are the ladies' yoga instructor.
Yeah, so I've been told.
He means I've already told you.
Is this another one of your tricks?
Tricks? Oh, of course. Professor, it's time for some of your special yoga tricks.
All right. Now, everyone assume the primary position.
He means you too, Yogi.
We shall start with the Netacrya.
Netacrya.
Netacrya. Netacrya.
Good. Now resume position A.
Be a good girl and straighten me out. Thanks.
Next, Bastrika.
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 Resume position A. I want you to know this is the first time I've enjoyed myself since I've been in New York.
Now that we've become so friendly, it's too bad you have to leave for Florida tomorrow.
I'm not so sure about that now. I might just have a change of plans. Now watch this closely. Shirhasana, Machendrashana.
Bastrika.
I can't wait to see your father's face when he finds out that because of us, the professor isn't leaving for Florida.
Dad should be very happy. We've got a lecturer and he's got a client.
Oh, Margie, I can't wait to tell him.
Well, just a minute. The whole thing was my idea. I think I should tell him.
Girls, I've had enough bickering for one day. Margie, I just had another meeting with Professor Ambrose, and now guess what? He's not going to Florida. Seems he met some girl last night, Amy Perkins from his hometown, and she made him so homesick that now instead of going to Florida, he's going back to Elm Grove. Ooh, if I could get my hands on that girl. Now, Margie, what's it you want to tell me?
You tell him.
Do you think the rain will hurt the rhubarb?
It's a good thing Dad doesn't know who's responsible.
Amen.
Well, I guess we've lost the professor as a lecturer, but I might be able to make it up to Dad and still save him as a client.
Margie, you already have one, I told you so. Do you want to try for two?
Now, Dad has just one chance of landing the professor. That's if he doesn't leave town.
This is where I came in.
The professor became homesick for Elm Grove because of us. If I were to confess and tell him that we were just playing a little game, that we're really not from Elm Grove, he might change his mind about leaving.
But Margie, that way your father will certainly find out about you.
Oh, I'm not so sure. The professor still thinks I'm Amy Perkins.
Margie, where are you going?
The professor eats at a little vegetarian restaurant on 47th Street. I might be able to catch him there.
Miss Perkins, this is a pleasant surprise. I wanted to call you today, but I couldn't find your name in the phone book.
Well, that's why I came to see you here.
I think you'll be happy to hear that I've made up my mind to go back to Elm Grove.
Oh?
And I owe it all to you, Miss Perkins. I never realized until last night how much I've really missed my hometown.
Professor, there's something I must tell you.
All right, but let me get some lunch first. What do you have?
I think I'll have this number 5, please.
Oh, the Garden of Eden special. Homogenized prunes on a steamed spinach leaf smothered with fig whip.
Homogenized prunes smothered with fig whip?
I finally found someone else who likes it. I can't believe it.
It's hard for me, too.
I'll be right back with 2 number 5s.
Prunes smothered with fig whip? Mmm.
Why, Margie.
Dad, what is my hale, hearty, healthy father doing in this vitamin heaven?
I'm looking for Professor Ambrose. Mr. Honeywell told me that if I didn't land him as a client, I'm fired.
Well, what are you doing here?
Well, Mr. Honeywell says he always eats at a vegetarian cafeteria.
You mustn't believe everything you hear.
Are you alone?
Oh, alone, of course. I'm practically a hermit.
What's this other glass of water doing here?
I don't see it doing anything. Oh, you mean this one? Well, you see, Dad, at a vegetarian cafeteria, instead of a cocktail, you always start the meal with 2 glasses of water.
I don't get it. What was the second glass of water for?
The chaser.
Well, as long as you're alone, do you mind if I eat with you? I'll buy your lunch. What'll you have?
Anything you order is all right with me, Dad.
Let's see. Number 5, Garden of Eden Special. That looks good. I'll get 2 of those.
Call for Miss Margie Albright and phone booth 1.
Hello? Roberta?
Margie, I have bad news for you. Your father's on his way to the health cafeteria to meet the professor. And if those 2 meet and find out the part you played, you're dead.
What else is new?
Margie, am I getting through to you?
Through is right. The professor and Dad just met.
What are you going to do?
I don't know, but I'll think of something.
Strange meeting you here like this, Mr. Albright.
It's even stranger that we're sharing the same table. I'm having luncheon with my daughter, Margie.
Well, I'm here with Amy Perkins.
Who?
I'm having Amy Perkins for lunch.
Good. May I carve?
What?
Nothing.
Yellow?
Would you page Mr. Albright, please?
Just a minute. Call for Mr. Albright, booth 2.
Excuse me, Professor. I'll just be a moment. Hello, this is Vern Albright.
This is your message service, Mr. Albright. I have a long-distance call for you from Hollywood. Will you hold the line, please?
I'm glad you're back, Amy. There's your Garden of Eden special. Dig in. That's it, Amy. Roll it around in your mouth. Savor each morsel to get the full flavor. By the way, we're having lunch with Mr. Albright and his daughter. Slow down, Amy. Eating fast isn't good for you.
Eating slow isn't good for me either. Look what I did. I'm a regular Butterfingers today. I better go put some water on it.
Call for Professor Ambrose in booth 4.
Hello?
Professor Ambrose, this is Associated Airlines. There seems to be some trouble with your flight reservation. Will you hold on, please? Sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Albright, but the Hollywood number is now busy. I'll try them again in a few minutes.
Oh, Margie. I'm glad to have you alone for a minute. You know who we're having lunch with?
Professor Ambrose and Amy Perkins.
How did you know?
Just made a wild guess. Oh, what a butterfingers I am today. Excuse me, I'd better put some water on this.
Phone call for Mr. Albright in booth 2.
Oh, for crying out loud. Hello?
Ready on your call to Hollywood, Mr. Albright. Please stand by. I'm sorry to keep you waiting, Professor Ambrose, but we haven't been able to locate any record of your reservation. I'll phone you right back.
Well, does the spot come out all right?
That's what I came back to tell you. I put too much water on it. I'll have to go back and dry it off. I'll be right back.
Call for Professor Ambrose in the N booth, please.
Hello?
Well, it's about time. Who wants to speak with me?
Who wants to speak with you? Didn't you call me?
No, you called me. Now, wait a minute. Your voice sounds familiar.
So does yours.
Professor Ambrose.
Mr. Albright. Where are you?
In a cafeteria. Where are you?
In a cafeteria, too.
Now, wait a minute. There's something funny going on around here. Hold on just a minute. Well, I'll be.
Professor Ambrose?
Amy.
Margie.
Miss Perkins.
Miss Albright.
Just call me Sam. It was the only thing I could do. I couldn't let either of you find out that Amy Perkins was really Margie Albright, so I kept you both running to the phones.
It might have been easy for the professor. He keeps in trim with yoga. But you sure had me going.
Poor Pop.
Yeah, your poor pop is pooped. But now that everything is cleared up, Professor, I'd like to ask you a favor.
What is it?
Well, the reason that Margie got mixed up in all these shenanigans is that she promised that you'd appear before her club meeting. Now, do you suppose that you could squeeze it in tomorrow?
This is perfect. I had a speaking engagement for tomorrow that I was trying to get out of. Some woman's club called the 4 o'clock book review club. What's the name of this club?
You tell him, Margie.
Some days it just doesn't pay to get out of bed.